Go.
Hello everybody in Facebook land. I want to share this one speech here by Dr. King. When I was a little boy, I wanted to be a king's kid. They came to my church one time at Emmanuel Temple and I was so inspired that I wanted to join the group and become a king's kid, go around the different areas and recite the speeches of Dr. King. I feel like anyone who loves justice, I don't care what color you are, should always have a speech by Dr. King written in your heart. I'm not reading or speaking from a teleprompter, but I'm speaking from my heart, from a speech that I learned when I was 11 years old. Let us rise up tonight with a greater readiness. Let us stand with a greater determination. And let us move on in these powerful days, these days of challenge, to make America what it ought to be. We have an opportunity to make America a better nation. And I want to thank God once more for allowing me to be here with you. You know, several years ago I was in New York City autographing the first book that I had written. And while sitting there autographing books, a demented black woman came up. The only question I heard from her was, "Are you Martin Luther King?" And I was looking down writing and I said yes. The next minute I felt something beating on my chest. Before I knew it, I had been stabbed by this demented woman. I was rushed to Harlem Hospital. It was a dark Saturday afternoon. And that blade, the tip of the blade was at the edge of my aorta, the main artery. Once that's punctured, you drown in your own blood and that's the end of you. Well, it came out in the New York Times that if I had merely sneezed, that I would have died. Well, about 4 days later, they allowed me to move around the wheelchair. And from all over the world, kind letters that came in. I read a few, but I've forgotten what some of those letters said. I received a letter and a visitation from the governor of New York, but I forgot what that letter said. I received a letter from the president and from the vice president, but I forgot what those letters said. But there was another letter that came from a little girl, a young girl who was a student at the White Plains High School. And I looked at that letter and I'll never forget it. It said simply, "Dear Dr. King, I am a 9th grade student from the White Plains High School." She said, "While it should not matter, but I would like to mention that I'm a white girl. I've read in the papers of your misfortune and of your suffering. And I read that if you had sneezed that you would have died. And I'm simply writing to say that I'm so happy that you didn't sneeze. And I want to say tonight that I too am happy that I didn't sneeze, because if I had sneezed, wouldn't have been around here in 1960 when students all over the South began to sit in at lunch counters. And I knew that as they were sitting in, they were really standing up for the best of the American dream and taking this nation back to those great wells of democracy which were dug deep by the founding fathers of the Declaration of Independence and of the Constitution. If I had sneezed, wouldn't have been around here in 1961 when we decided to take a ride for freedom and ended segregation and interstate travel. If I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been around here in 1962 when Negroes in Albany, Georgia decided to straighten their backs up. And whenever men and women straighten their backs up, they're going somewhere, because a man can't ride your back unless it is bent. If I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been around here in 1963 people of Birmingham, Alabama aroused the consciousness of this nation and brought into being the Civil Rights Bill. If I had sneezed, I wouldn't have got a chance later that year in August to try to tell America about a dream that I had. If I had sneezed, wouldn't have been down in Selma, Alabama to see the great movement there. If I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been in Memphis to see a community rally around those brothers and sisters who are suffering. I'm so happy that I didn't sneeze. They were telling me. Now it doesn't matter now. It really doesn't matter what happens now. I left Atlanta this morning, and as we got started on the plane, there were 6 of us. The pilot said over the public address system, "We're sorry for the delay, but we have Dr. Martin Luther King on the plane. And to be sure that all the bags were checked, and to be sure that nothing would be wrong on the plane, we've had to check out everything carefully. And we've had the plane protected and guarded all night." And then I got into Memphis. And some began to say the threats, or talk about the threats that were out. What would happen to me from some of our sick white brothers. Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now, because I've been to the mountaintop. I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. My eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
The Lord everywhere. Yes, yes, I love you. Come on, tell Him how I love you, Jesus. How I love you. I really love you, Lord. Come on and tell Him. I really love you. Come on, let the heavens and the earth hear you declare it. Just for who you are. In all of your glory. In all of your glory. My heart sings holy, 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 holy. You are everything I need you to be. Come on, declare it. You are everything. He's a healer and a deliverer. He said, I am the Lord, your righteousness. I am the Lord, your peace. I am. Come on. You are everything I need you to be. Yes, you are, Jesus. I need you. You are the great I am. Come on, say it again. You are the you are everything I need you to be. Hey. voices and just begin to shout unto the Lord your God with a voice of triumph. Praise him. Praise